So you think you want to be a network engineer. You can make good money. There's a lot of perks to it and everything else, but I wanted to show you some things you will be doing as a network engineer. So let's roll the intro and get started. And of course, it always starts with coffee. So as a network engineer, you'll deal with this. Like this week I'm on call, and that's what we're doing now, going on 9 hours. Working with a Cisco TAC engineer, and yeah, oh man. So anyway, that's all part of it. So you got the good times and the times you're just going, oh my gosh. And this. Hey guys, well, I'm on call this week. Yeah, it means 24/7. Any problems happen, you're the one that has to cover it. So right now I'm headed to one of our facilities. We had one of the Stealth Watch servers go out, and I gotta go see if I can reboot it. Those are a little different. You know, a lot of things you have to use your console cables in. That one you've got to try to KVM to it, which means that you got to hook a monitor with one of the old style blue VGA cables into it, plug a mouse and a keyboard in it, reboot it, and see if you can get it up into the user interface that way. So anyway, I'll kind of show you. I'll do a little bit of videoing while I'm there, and you know, show you what I'm doing. And so today we're in here looking at the Stealth Watch monitor. I'll kind of show you what I'm looking at. So this is the server. So you can see it's got redundant power strips. So if one goes out, the other one's working. The lights appear to be green, but the thing is showing down. So anyway, what we're going to have to do, there's a VGA, those little blue cables here. We'll have to plug our monitor into that. And then there are some, right here, some USB ports. So we'll have to plug in a USB, a mouse in one of them and a keyboard in the other one. And then we'll have to power this thing off and then power it back on and see if we can pull it up on the monitor. I tested my monitor. I brought the monitor and keyboard and everything, so test all that at home, make sure it was a good working monitor. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. Generally on these, they're located, we have our core equipment in here. So usually these things, the cables, that's what they're plugging into. You know, 2 of the ports on the core, and that way you can catch, because all the other switches connect to the core. So by monitoring the stuff from the core, you can capture the traffic coming through the whole facility. Now I'm going to plug in, these are USB pins. So now I'm going to plug those in, and once those are in, should be good to go to test. Now you can tell, you can see the lights blue on the monitor, but nothing's showing up on the monitor. Ooh, probably because of all that dirt. No, so one of the reasons for that is on these types of devices, they're not plug and play, so you have to power off the device, power it on, and capture it while it's kind of coming up. And this. So anyway, after that call that night, I ended up getting another call
later in the night that one of our hospitals, they had a planned power outage, and the hospital was supposed to go on generator power. The generator power, once it went over to that, one of the switches went down and it didn't come back up while the power was down. So had to go out there and check it out. I put a couple of pictures right here. Basically, I guess when they were doing that closet, the engineers never ran generator power into the room, so all the switches were going on house power. So when it went to that, so anyway, once power did come back up, it had flipped a breaker, so the switch stayed down because it didn't have that redundant power. So talk to the engineers, they're going to run generator power, and then we'll have to switch. You know, these switches have dual plugs on them, so it's redundant power. So you usually have one going to generator power and one going to regular power, and then the one on the regular power, you have a UPS plugged in it. That way, if it ever loses power, that UPS will keep the switch running for, 15, 30, 45 minutes or whatever, however long that battery lasts, while the thing kicks over. Sometimes it can take, so many seconds to kick over to the generator power. That way you don't lose power when it does it. So anyway, and Anyway, next night I got another call for power out, and this was all the way in Dallas, which we're on kind of the west side of Fort Worth, and this was on the east side of Dallas. One of our places there ended up losing power. Same thing, power outage, and when we went in, we had a switch stack that when I looked at it, a whole floor, labor and delivery floor, lost their power. So when we went up to it, it was a stack of 6 switches. And when I went and looked in the switch, I could still remote into the switch, but when you do a show switch to look at it, you could see the first 2 switches were on, and you couldn't see the bottom 4 switches. It just showed they were provisioned, but for the MAC address, it showed 00000, which means that basically from the 3rd switch down in the stack, so 3, 4, 5, 6, so 4 of the switches were totally offline. So anyway, once I got up there, looked at that, and the power supply that the generator power is plugging into went off. The power supply was bad. So basically when it kicked over to generator power, that was the 3rd switch. So once it kicked over and house power wasn't working, all the switches were on generator power. Since that 3rd switch did not have generator power, everything from there down in the stack quit working. So basically had to go up there, get another power supply, switch that one out. When I first got there, the temporary fix, by the time I got there, a little while after I got there, power had come back on. But when I first got there, power was still off. So since the one side was down anyway, I took the house power was down. I took that good power supply out of that, put it over into the generator, plugged that in, and that brought the switch up. Then I had to go to where we store stuff in that place there and find another power supply, come back and exchange that power supply, plug it in, and it got everything up and working. So fun times. Talking a little bit about the on-call, when usually you're going to have a rotational on-call. We've got a pretty good sized team with ours that go around and handle these hospitals, that are pretty much spread out kind of where they live around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But when you're on call, usually, in our case anyway, there's always going to be like a rotation where you have to take your turn being on call. When you're on call, you're kind of on your own on that. So you don't have all the other people to get help with and call that. So you probably have your couple of friends you make in it that you can call if it's just really something challenging you run into. But for the most part, you got to kind of figure it out and go. You like our team, we have a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary, which is like a level 3 guy that really knows his stuff. Has 10, 15 years longer than us in the business. So your level, like we'll take turns, like one rotation, I'll be the primary. The other guy I'm kind of teamed up with will be the secondary, which means if anything overflows that I can't handle, or 2 or 3 jobs come in at the same time, then he'll kind of help out where he needs to. Or if I need to call him, that's usually my first one I'll call if I need some help with something. Then the next time, which is usually about every 5 weeks or something, the next time he'll be primary and I'll be secondary, which means he's answering most of the calls coming in and doing a lot of the craziness. But, if he needs me, I need to have my phone be available to help. And then the tertiaries are there in case it's just all hell's breaking loose and we got to get this thing back up. And we've got our level 3 guys where we can call if necessary. We try not to call them, but if we need them, we can call them, and their knowledge level's just at a totally different level than ours. So they can get into, a lot more stuff that we might not have learned yet or not real fluent with. So anyway, that's kind of how that works. I can tell you the one thing about the job. I love the network engineering job, but I hate on call. So I don't think anybody really likes it. You're just sitting there on pins and needles, anxiety. Is anything going to break or happen? So, keep that in mind when you're picking it, If you like to be done with your job and your weekends and your off time your own, it's not the occupation you want to go into. I've talked to a lot of people that said, if they'd known after doing it what it was then, but it's kind of hard to get out of it because the pay's good once you're into it. So keep that in mind. It's a great job. It's a good job. You learn a lot and you get it, but that's one of the downsides. Also, the technology is just getting so complicated. Like even stuff I studied in college and things I did there are just almost outdated. It still applies, but there's so many new technologies, and while you're working as much as you are, it's hard to keep up with it. So you really got to keep up with the technology because a lot of your businesses start going to it. So a lot of your places that are hiring want people that know that newer technology as it comes along. So keep that in mind. A lot of study, a lot of your own time having to study different things to keep up with it. So there you have it, guys. Typical week, kind of good, the bad, the ugly. Networking is a good job. On call sucks, but somebody's got to be on call and taking the calls when things break down in the middle of the night. So that's going to be part of your job. That's the part I think everybody hates. It sucks, waking up at 2 a.m. and having to drive freaking an hour and a half away to some place to get them back online. But that's why they do a rotation, so it doesn't burn you out. It's a week of hell, and then the rest of your time is pretty much projects, troubleshooting stuff, and it goes pretty good. Hey guys, to see more videos like this, please click on the like and subscribe buttons down below, and click to be notified, and we'll keep making the videos and you'll be notified anytime we're putting out new ones. Thanks for watching.